Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the reaction log. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, we got a special spicy one here for you. Guess who it is? I was looking at my channel. It's been a month since I featured Rick Beato on here. Haven't been able to put out quite as many videos because of grad school. I don't know if you guys knew about that. But I've been pumping him out more, and I think it's time that Rick Beato comes back in. I also have some ideas for other people that we're gonna get into. But Julian Lage, he's my target right now. He is mine, and this is the video about him. I've actually already done a video about Julian Lage. You should go and check that one out. That was, I think posted like 6 months ago or something like that. It's done pretty well, so we're gonna see if we can get some more of those sweet Julian Lage views again. What am I exactly? If this is your first time watching, am a very jealous and disturbed creature, also known as a classical guitarist. And what does it mean to be a classical guitarist? It means that you're good with your fingers, you don't play nice with others. Some of us do ensemble stuff. Honestly though, screw that. Solo work all the way. I'll play in ensembles, but I'm not gonna practice. That's the Prelude to Beato V997. Keep an eye out for that. I'm probably gonna play that in the next practice log. I'm starting to get that one pretty down. That's neither here or there. We are gonna be looking at Julian Lage. What do I know about Julian Lage? Let's actually, before I try to remember stuff from like 6 months ago, let's just look at what this interview is gonna have, because Rick actually does us the courtesy of making timestamps, unlike me. So the Lairs EP, oh, he's gonna advertise his album. Wow, the Blue Note Records. The Blue Note, what do you have, synesthesia? Okay, oh my god, that was terrible. The Blue Note, more like the Brown Note. I'm saying, okay, wow, alright. A deliberate label. Well, I sure hope so. Rudy Vangelis and Mark Goodall. I hope Mark Goodall is Goodall on the guitar. Alright. Vision for the bass and drums. What, that they practice? Listening to a gig. I think that's called just going to a bar and listening to the band. I don't know if when you're listening to something you would refer to it as a gig, you know? Voice evolution. Not in my schools. Telecaster story. That's the new Pixar adaptation where your guitars talk while you're gone. Telecaster versatility. Sounds like somebody who plays a Telecaster. Precedence. I got nothing. Triads. Oh, dude, we have a whole 4-minute chapter on triads. I can't wait to hear about that. The Beatles. After you learn triads, you gotta move on to the Beatles, of course. Belonging. Oh, the things are gonna get pretty real in this, huh? Being around people who hold you true, whatever that means. The fiddle tradition. Focal dystonia. Whoa. Dude, we got some topics here. I might actually be skipping around. After that, just dystonia. Alright. More fatigue. Alright, so the last third of this video is just how uncomfortable Julian Lage is in his day-to-day life. Alright, well, I'm pretty excited about that. Let's go ahead and jump into this one, shall we?
Julian Lage is a Grammy-nominated American guitarist and composer.
Oh, he didn't win, though. Alright, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Hey, look at all those guitars back there. I bet they all sound... What? Post in the comments.
Known for his proficiency in jazz, classical, and bluegrass music.
Whoa, did my ears deceive me? His proficiency in classical music.
Jazz, classical, and bluegrass.
We'll be the judge of that. We'll also be the judge of everything else, because that's what I do here. I feel like Rick didn't mean what he said there. I'm not sure what Rick thinks classical music is, but it's not what Julian Lage plays, to my knowledge. Hold on. I thought he was a jazz guy. I could be a big stupid hater, though. Let's see. Oh, well, first off, it's a scam. Oh my god, I'm already so distracted. There's so many videos to watch. This copyright situation is even worse than you thought. Who do you think you are, Rick Beato? Talking about copyright? We'll react to that at some point, I'm sure. Charles Cornell, friend of the channel. Oh, I almost got excited. Almost looked like a classical guitar, but let's see what we got. Dude, I love watching jazz musicians try to play with classical technique. It's always so awkward in the right hand. Boom, roasted. I know it's with an acoustic guitar. This ain't classical, though. Sorry to break it to you. You know, you gotta be careful throwing around the C word like that around me. I will say something.
In California in 1987, Julian was recognized as a child prodigy, captivating audiences with his remarkable technical skill and emotional depth.
Dude, you have a gun to your head or something? Or
throughout his career, he's consistently expanded his musical vocabulary.
Oh my god, dude, Rick actually wrote something out and he's reading it. That's crazy, man. No wonder you have 5 million subscribers. You show up prepared.
His unique ability to blend intricate compositions with an improvisational style.
Did you write this? What are you talking about?
Has established him as one of the most compelling voices in contemporary jazz guitar. Chance to interview him last week at the Power Station in New York City. Here's my interview.
This is my story. Dun dun. Kind of read like some true crime introduction there.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm so happy to be here with you.
It's very,
Dude, thank you, sir. That's a nice young man.
very-
That's a good child prodigy right there. Yes, sir. No, sir.
pleasure to meet you in person, and
Right? I've been watching you for so long. It's a treat.
I've been watching you
Not on YouTube. I'm everywhere. I'm outside your house. I'm everywhere.
for so long.
I guess that's how this stuff goes.
You just released an EP.
Yes. The Layers, it's called.
Tell me why you did an EP now. I mean, you just
I was inspired by a haircut I
had a
got.
record out last year.
That's right.
And did you have songs that were left over?
Yes, is the simple answer.
You had scrap songs, leftover songs. Sounded like it.
I tend
Sounded like a bunch of afterthought
it
songs.
has a lot to do with
Okay, he's just going to be advertising his EP. Go check out The Layers by Julian Lage on Spotify and Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your music. SoundCloud? Okay, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. Let's get into listening to a gig, whatever that means.
Will you listen to a gig right after you do it?
There it is. He's like, heck no. I don't listen to gigs. I play gigs.
Will you listen to the
Yeah,
recording?
I will.
Will you take notes on it?
I tend
Mental
to,
notes?
Mental notes. I don't listen back looking for anything wrong per se, but I definitely listen back as I'm getting ready for bed after a gig and just kind of go,
Dude, just let it lull you to sleep. He relishes in it, I think.
we're so lucky. Sounds like a life force that's there. Whether I get it right or not, or I mess up, that's kind of not what it is. It's almost more of a, just like a meditation. So I listen back to just kind of go, I sit in gratitude and go, this is awesome. This is really cool. And yeah, okay, that song was a little too long. We'll try that differently, but thank God this is what I do.
So no,
Dude, this song. I often feel that way about the music I'm playing too, except it's all written down already. It's like, we could remove some of these parts. I don't think it needs to be this long. Yeah, alright, so that's cool. He listens back. He's like, this is dope. Alright. I've done that too. I think that's the true, like, narcissist musician test. After you do a gig and you've recorded it, do you listen to it and do you really enjoy it? It's those old recordings. If you do save them, I recommend saving everything, because you will look back on them as an older person and you will feel such, like, nostalgia for it. I also feel that some of my best playing is always playing from, like, a previous time in my life. Like, man, I have some recordings when I was in undergrad, like some of my final juries. I think one of them had to be recorded because it was during COVID. I was looking at it like 4 years after the fact or something like that, and I was like, wow, I don't know if I could play this piece as well as I'm playing it here. And this was like 4 years ago, and I've been practicing this whole time. Then I record myself now, and it's like, this sucks. What happened to you? But 6 months will pass, and I'll look back on it, and it's like, wow, this is actually pretty good. I don't know what that is. What's the deal with that? Alright, whatever. Unrelated, sorry. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I'm looking at a Julian Lage interview. This kind of just becomes my show after a while, and I'm just gonna talk about whatever. Alright.
why did I play that over the
No.
half diminished chord? You know,
No, I
No, that's what Rick Beato would think.
frankly, I just don't have that disposition. I don't wear it well. I think there was a time in my life where I was, I kind of wanted to believe that I had to crack down on myself to make progress as a player, you know. And I think there's a lot of that kind of rhetoric in just music culture that unless you keep a close eye on yourself, you're just going to make some terrible stuff. And I couldn't keep it up. You know, I bought it for a little bit, and
Wow. Wait, what? So the way you make music is that you just, like, have fun and don't worry about it too much and just try to make music that sounds good to you? Yeah, that is a novel idea, isn't it? You don't have to be so hard on yourself. That's certainly how it feels in music, or I assume any subject, when you don't have as much guidance as you want. Especially if you're expecting to be at a certain level after a certain amount of guidance already, like, say, after a bachelor's degree or something. But yeah, it is all just a progression that just builds over time. And there really is no moment where you're good enough, you know? It's just a progression, and then you just become okay with yourself. Of course, there are standards you hold yourself to, but, you know, there's not like a moment where those standards are met. It's more like you meet them and then settle into them. And growth doesn't have to be this intense thing where you're hyper-focused all day for years and years. It's just something that's just a part of your life. Whoa, what am I talking about? All right.
I think I adopted maybe a philosophy that I think comes from, like, it goes back to my parents and musicians I've been around, which is maybe more of the thought that you are born with a voice, you have it, you are it, and if you're lucky, you have the opportunity to kind of peel back the layers and present it. It's not something you beat out of yourself, and I feel far more at ease with that point, you know, from that point of view, because then if I hear things back that I want to change, I get curious about it. I go, that was a thing. Okay, what would happen if this, and that seems to move the boat along a little bit better for me, but everyone's got a different approach, I know.
Yeah, all that stuff. Everybody has their voice, and you have power over your voice, too. Your voice is dictated by the things that you choose to work on and practice.
Do you find that over time you develop your voice, you in general, or people that you play with, or is it a constantly evolving thing that your voice is changing through time?
That's a good question, Rick.
That's a good question. You're really throwing those hard balls right now. I'm going to wager that Julian Lage's voice changes. Let's see.
That is the question. That's it, right? What is it? With full humility, I have no idea.
All right, let's just hear a Telecaster story, I guess. Let's see. I'm kind of lost on this one.
Well, I love the choice of the Telecaster.
Thank you.
I'm sure you do love that choice, Rick. Personally, I hate it. Why isn't it a classical guitar? Whoa.
I know you play other guitars.
Sure.
What is it about the Telecaster?
It just sounds so much better than all the other electric guitars. I don't know.
They're very cool. I was a kid, my dad.
They're very cool. That's honestly the best reason to pick a Telecaster over any other guitar. They're cool. I like the way it looks and the color, perhaps. Yeah.
I started playing guitar when I was 5, right? But when I was...
What the heck? You started playing guitar when you were 5? Dude, that's so young. What, did you play classical or something?
I'm the youngest of 5 in my family. I have a brother and 3 sisters. And I would have been out before my father started playing guitar. He would have been in his 30s at that point. And I just was like enamored with him and the guitar. So it wasn't just the guitar. And he knew this, and I was very vocal about it. Like, that's cool.
It sounds like his dad started playing guitar as an adult. That's exactly how my dad was, too. And seeing him practice guitar, because I already knew that I wanted to play guitar at the time from, this isn't very classical of me, but from the Green Day American Idiot album coming out. That came out when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. I could be really off on that. I'm 27 right now, in 2025. I knew guitar was in my future, but seeing my dad play guitar, that very much inspired me to play. And in fact, when I started playing alongside him, he showed me how to read tabs. He had a bunch of tabs printed out from ultimateguitar.com. And whenever he practiced, it always upset me that he was practicing and I wasn't practicing. So it always ended up with me getting the guitar from him somehow. So I don't know, good hack for your kids. If you want them to be good at guitar, maybe practice a whole lot and make them upset that you're getting better than them. I was pretty competitive about it when I was a kid. I still am competitive about it.
And I just was enamored with him and the guitar. So it wasn't just the guitar. And he knew this, and I was very vocal about it. Like, that's cool. And somehow, and I wish I could remember how this all added up, but someone my father worked with had a life-size poster of Bruce Springsteen's Telecaster.
Why? Why did somebody have that? What a strange thing to have. Not even a Bruce Springsteen, but his guitar.
Not dissimilar from this.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. Not dissimilar at all. It was exactly the same. Sorry.
My father brought it home, and my father was a visual artist, and he traced it on Big Tracy, this cutout, this poster, he traced it, and then out of plywood he cut a Telecaster and painted it. Just like a single ply board.
Dude, wow. That's yeah, he was a man on a mission, huh? He was getting a Telecaster one way or another.
Pick guard on and painted all this stuff, and he made one for me and my brother.
Okay.
This kind of stopgap of well, you obviously like the guitar. Is this what you like about it? Just the artifact. And I carried this thing around for a year, and it was just, we would change.
Dude, I bet that thing sounded actually not like other Telecasters. Dude, we got to see the plywood guitar. How did that thing play? Was the neck made of plywood too? No shifting. You'll get splinters. Strings are just made of cable wire or something.
A few months, my dad, let's paint it red now. Okay. And he painted the strings on and the
That's pretty cool.
It was killer. I fell out of my bunk bed one night. I fell on it and I cracked in half.
Oh no, I'm sure that didn't matter though. Come on, let's get some wood glue.
Mortified. And I think that could have been my brother was so sweet, he loved it, but he wasn't, he's okay, it's cool, but it seems like it's your thing. So all to say, this romantic story was being built around the Telecaster for me, and at the time it wasn't read as an affinity for that particular model guitar. It was just an affinity for guitar. And when I was 5, I got a guitar, and it was a Strat, and my father had a Telecaster. And
that was the first time I realized that there was a rift between me and my father. When he got the Stratocaster, I did not recognize that man. All right, let's finish this Telecaster
kind of
story.
The birth of the Blackguard Telly and the music culture, and someone who's there at the inception of the guitar, frankly, with Leo Fender. I thought, well, that's the greatest jazz guitar tone I've ever heard. And then you have, Ed Bicker, and you have all these other people. You have Mike Stern, you have all these people. And quickly I thought, okay, well, that's not the conundrum. I know it can be dark, but can capture these overtones that I hear on acoustic guitar. And then that set me down the rabbit hole of, a Tele is a different Tele with, this is a Dynasonic pickup from a kind of, it's called an Ellisonic by Ron Ellis, but it's more in the family of like a Gretsch.
Yeah.
This sounds very different than a P90, than the original pickup, than a humbucker.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of all this.
The Tele was the most versatile guitar to do overdubs with.
Isn't
on
that
records.
interesting?
And no matter what the style of music of a group I'd be working with, or if it was a solo artist, a lot of times I would reach for my Tele over other guitars, just because it seemed to fit any style of music.
That's it.
And I think, to me, it seems like a very natural jazz guitar.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it just sounds so unique.
I think it's completely. I mean, you look at even it's when it was kind of conceived. We're talking late 40s, early 50s. So it's kind of bebop has occurred.
Yep.
Now we're going into a cooler sound with jazz in some way, but also rock and roll is being born. And so there's an electricity within the music that matches the guitar. I have to say too, Rick, what your perspective from as a producer is, I try to think of it that way, of the bird's eye view of it. How are you going to put this in the mix? How does this fit frequency-wise in a band, in an ensemble? So what you say resonates that. Of course, that would be a go-to. Like, it's just going to slip in.
Yeah.
It's going to do the job.
It can really occupy
Okay.
there's so many different possibilities with a Telecaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, the Telecaster is like the classical guitars of electric guitar. It's just the best one. It's just the best. Dude, are you guys like skater boys? What kind of shoes are y'all wearing? This is the biggest interview of your life, Julian Lage, and you're wearing skate shoes. Rick is too, though, to be fair. I wonder if they coordinated this. It's like, dude, I better not catch you in any loafers in here. Break out your Vans. We're going skating after this. Okay.
And there's the tuning part of it. It's a very incredibly stable guitar. I hardly ever had to get my Telecasters set up.
Yeah, dude, I hardly had to tune them. Not that I'd know. You think I can tell if it's out of tune or not? I'm just the producer. That's Rick Beato. That's a joke. I know his ear is super good. He sells a course, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's on sale right now if you want to go check it out. I wonder how much Rick Beato charges for a guitar lesson. I'd take one.
Your sound, too, there's a bloom with the notes, a fatness with it, and it's your personal style. It's also, I think, with the flat wounds, playing flat wounds in the guitar, gives it there's a clarity that you have with it, and
that's true.
Which I think is part of
that's true. It's pretty clear when I play.
Your personal touch too, though. But Teles are great at reproducing. It's probably the pickup. I imagine you only use the front pickup.
I only use the front pickup. I've had many friends try to get me back here, and I love it. I did a whole tour once just to kind of almost settle a bet. See if I could do a whole tour on the bridge pickup with my trio.
Ew, what? That's just the whole tour? Oh man, that must have been a twangy tour, huh?
Nights 1 and 2, I was like, I'd go back to the room, my ears would be ringing, and I thought, this is a terrible, no one asked me to do this. It's kind of a little bit messed up. But then after the first couple of days, I became obsessed, and because all the overtones were coming through these backline amplifiers, and it felt raw and it felt beautiful, and I kind of built up some nerve around it where I thought, this is great. And then I took I wasn't on tour for a little bit, and when I came back, I couldn't muster. I couldn't jump off the diving board again. I thought, well, I did it. I proved to myself I could do it. I think I'm going to live here where I have just a little more versatility. But what you say about the bloom, I think, has a lot to do in my experience. I started playing these old tweed champs.
Yeah.
From the late 50s, and they, especially in partnership with a Telecaster, do paint a very compelling picture.
Yeah, it's funny hearing electric people talk about gear. I think the only gear that you get as a classical musician are the strings, which strings are a very highly debated thing. That is basically our amp, I think, the strings. I don't know, somebody disagree with me if you want. And by the way, which I'm sure all of you know what he's talking about, because I assume that you're all guitarists, he's talking about the pickups on his guitar, which like that one near the neck is the best sounding one. And you'll notice when I play guitar, I'm kind of hovering around that area where that nice sounding pickup he has would be. It's called the neck pickup. And the further over here you go, the brighter and more overtones you'll hear. So it'll sound like this. So so you can see, depending on where I'm plucking my acoustic guitar, it kind of acts how the pickups do on an electric guitar. Like, we call this dolce. Sorry, I'm not very warm. Versus ponticello. So what he's saying that he did is kind of the equivalent of a classical musician doing an entire concert series, just all ponticello. Which now, actually, as I play through my repertoire all ponticello, it makes me kind of want to use more ponticellos, because it is very, like, bright. Might get a little obnoxious. I just wanted to show that example because it is kind of interesting how the classical guitar and acoustic, like steel string guitars too, there is an analog equivalent for the things that you would also do on an electric guitar. So it's kind of cool finding those things, right? Like, everything comes from something. Like, other obvious examples of it, like analog solutions for if you want reverb. Of course, you can buy a foot pedal for an electric guitar, but for a classical guitarist, you would just go to church. You would find Jesus or something. That's the reverb pedal for us. Kind of fun to think about. What are some other analog things that acoustic classical musicians do? Post in the comments. What you got? Whoa.
They're kind of from the same era. It comes from the same ethos of Leo Fender. And there's a lot of compression in these little amps.
Yes.
So you can play very delicately, and especially if you don't want too much grit, you have to play very lightly to keep it from overdriving. And I think it has this there's just a volatility with the guitar and the amp share. That to me is the bedrock of what I hear with the Telecaster.
All right, so in conclusion, the Telecaster is the most versatile electric guitar. Whoa, any opinions about that? I don't care. I think this is going to be a good place to end this, and there are a few other topics that we're definitely going to go into. Next time we do Julian Lage, we're going to look at triads. We might skim over the Beatles. That's kind of classical guitar adjacent. There's a lot of transcriptions for that. Maybe not. Playing guitar as a choreographic experience. That relates to classical guitar quite a bit. I'm excited to go into that very short, minute-long chapter. That's kind of unfortunate, actually. I feel like that's going to be the most interesting part. And then, focal dystonia. That's the next Julian Lage video. Get excited about it. I think we can go ahead and wrap this one up here. It's always fun seeing Rick Beato, and of course, lesser seen on here, Julian Lage. We'll be bringing him on more, though, I'm sure. Focal dystonia is an interesting topic. That makes me think that he had focal dystonia, which I feel like I maybe kind of knew. But that's going to be an interesting thing to go into, because to my knowledge, it is a neurological disorder that can't really be cured. But it can be worked around sometimes if you're very diligent about it. At least I've heard stories of people working around it, so it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about that. I don't know. What a horrifying thought, getting focal dystonia. How do your hands feel right now? Do they feel a little weird? Maybe a little bit. They feel a little weak? Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. Hey, of course, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. My email is in the description. Usually I would offer lessons. I'm not right now because I'm busy in grad school, but I will take on students eventually. So if you want to reach out, you can do that and we can start a rapport. Of course, head on down over to Rutan's Delight for some merch. And is there anything else? Patreon, member section? I think that's it. I'll see you in the next practice log and we'll talk a little more intimately there. See you in the next one.